compromise. Before, the classes I took, I think, were very, very physical. And then there were less explanation, but it's kind of like you learn by doing. So, and some things you learn the hard way. But now I try to find a medium between that. So my classes are, I do one half really hard conditioning, and then as I teach the techniques, I do explanations so the students can rest as well. But that's my compromise. I mean, the students that remember me from when I was young and watched me grow up, they're like, oh, I remember the classes before. They were just very, very hardcore. It wasn't as easy, I guess, as the way I teach my classes. But I'm also trying to, I guess, it's an experimental process as well. So I'm trying to see how this generation takes it. But the access to information that Iain was talking about as well, I think that's a very great thing. Even when I'm trying to learn new things now, it's just, I find it very accessible, very easy to pick up things that used to be so hard before, even like using the old VHS tapes, if people remember what VHS is. And and I mean, I think the access of information is great. But at the same time, I think it can also work against you. Because everything's out there, you can be so overwhelmed. So you don't know. Again, that same idea. If you don't know what's good, you don't know what's bad. And what do you have access to? It's a little too much at this point. And you really need the right people, the right instructors and masters to guide you through this process in order to fully utilize these references.
One of the things that was said to me a long time ago was that, years ago, to study a different art, you'd have to move country and change culture. Wear different clothes, the whole works, just in order to train with the instructor you want. And now it's not only is it on every corner of every street, but it's also on everyone's computer. Do you think? And with the kind of attitude of kids, very generic statement, but wanting things easy, without realising that there's a ton of hard work to get good in, especially in martial arts. Do you think that that's part of the problem, that it's too easy, and they're not having to strive and go out there and really try and seek out an instructor? They can just turn on a computer and get it for free. Is that kind of where you think?
I definitely agree with that. That's a very good point. That and I remember talking to people about this before. It's just things are always at people's fingertips. I call it pretty much the cell phone generation or the smartphone generation. You could get so many things just at your fingertips. You don't even have to move like barely a muscle. Right, and things, because they're so easy, people expect the training to be as such as well. And when they discover after even just a week of training that the training is a lot more difficult than they had anticipated, then that's when students give up, or they only put a half effort in, and they're wondering why they're not improving. But it's not a very complex formula. I try to tell my students that it's a simple formula. If you train, you put in the time. Don't keep looking around. Don't be distracted. Then you will see the results after some time. But people don't even want to put in that 1 month. I see. Not everyone, of course. You do have good students, but when I see students that don't even put in that 1 week of time, I do attribute that to the smartphone generation, more or less, because things are so easy. When they encounter something that's not so easy, they feel like something's a little bit wrong, or it's not suitable for them. But just a little bit of pushing, a little bit of discipline can take them a long way. And I think these are the students that need it the most, actually. Yep.
Before you pass, you were studying under your father as the heir apparent to a system that had to change the dynamic.
How do I... How did that affect me?
Because the kids studying under you do not have that kind of pressure.
Well, my father, he had, both my parents are very traditional Asian parents, so they enforce academics first, actually. I look at myself now, I have 3 college degrees, but I'm not using any of it, and I'm teaching martial arts. Unfortunately not, but I understand the process of going to college and like learning and disciplining yourself to get through that. But my father never really forced martial arts upon us, and I'm the only one of us, of my brother, my sister, and myself, that actually voluntarily wanted to step up to this position. My father, I mean, he wanted us to succeed. He wanted us to do well. Whenever we had exams, he always graded us harder on purpose. And that was just tough love. But it's a good thing, because you don't want to pass someone with a C average grade. If you really care about them, you want them to get that B or A. So that's just the type of learning that I had. I wasn't feeling like I was threatened if I didn't train. It wasn't like that. Is something that I learned to enjoy. I'll admit, when I was young, when I first started, I didn't like it because basically I was into video games, and I was like what I talk about in this generation as well. People are into like so many things. So many distractions are out there. I mean, that's one of the reasons my father's out in the mountains teaching those students there and not in society. It's a lot of distractions. And as a kid, as a young mind, I think you're very prone to fall into those little, I guess, not really a trap, but diversions, yes. Yeah. So, I mean, when I was young, I actually didn't enjoy martial arts training. It was only until after a few years, then I started taking a liking to it, and I started going to competitions, and then that's when I took it seriously, and that's when I really started putting more effort into my training. Before I had my driver's license, I would take the bus, a half-hour bus ride, and that connects to the train, half-hour subway ride, sometimes more than an hour depending on the rush hour, and then I could get to class because I went to school in the suburbs, and the martial arts school was in the city. But I did that almost every day in high school for my sophomore year, and then junior year I had a car, so it was a bit more simplified things a bit. It's something that just really stuck with me. Even in college, every weekend I would just come back to train. I stayed local. Part of the reason for training and just the love I developed from it, it really has to be something that you develop on your own. If it's something that's forced upon you, then sometimes it just backfires. But that's the delicate balance between that boot camp discipline I was talking about and being too passive.
Sorry, Dave. No, I was just got a couple of things that you just said on there. Just one of the ones, just when we're talking about, people don't want it anymore. Do you know what I mean? People won't work hard enough for it. People can get it, they can go to one club and they can get a downgrade in 3 months, so why should I go to the one that's going to take me 7 years? That kind of mentality. I think part of the problem with that is, though, it can be easy for us to sit there and go, okay, it's their fault. And we can blame, it's terrible that all these crap martial artists who teach rubbish are making a great job of it, that have got all the business together, that are getting the message out. Well, the onus is on us, if we believe ourselves to be good martial artists, to get the message out ourselves, you see. So we can provide the alternative. Sorry.
Okay. Right. Yeah, no, don't go there. Don't go there. Nick, I want to thank you, because when Kris asked this question, I was kind of like hamana as to how to answer. But you brought up some really key points there, which is, I grew up in a barrio. My first friend was killed when I was 13. And I was shot at for the first time when I was 13. This was just, violence was a way of life with me. The fact is, I was a fighter already. I didn't go into the martial arts to learn to fight. I learned to be a better fighter. And the amazing thing is that while I went into the martial arts for fighting application, and I don't even want to call it self-defense because it was fighting, brawling, and all these other issues, what actually kept me coming back, and I hated the discipline. I rebelled against the discipline, but it was like a fish that every time I would rebel, the martial arts kept on sucking me back. And it was the discipline that literally saved my life. That, again, I would return to the martial arts, and this is one thing that, I studied karate for about 6 months, went out, got in a fight, and got